My name is Linaire, and this is my audio. For today's topic, I'll be speaking on gentrification, but I want to highlight 3 points. Gentrification, I want to highlight how gentrification is displacing minorities and their families from their community, how it ruins the environment, and how gentrification only focuses on profit. There's a corporate virus going around, primarily targeting small and weak communities. It is known as gentrification. And many communities find out about it after it's too late or often don't have a say so in what goes on because it's not funded by them. This speech is not only to talk about the housing price, how housing price or consumer goods have gone up, but it's also to highlight how gentrification is ruining the world by taking away history and culture that once lived in the neighborhood and turning it into something like a city with no with no no with no with no with no ties to its original form. So many people before gentrification, most communities often enjoy stuff like lower mortgage, um, knowing everyone in the community, so it's very vibrant. But when someone wealthy comes in and they decide to change up the whole community, it throws off everything. Because what happened is in gentrification, a wealthy individual comes to a community with the intention of adding on to that community, but when they add on to that community, it drives more business, throwing off everyone that lives in that community. So everyone suddenly gets displaced. But this affects minorities majority of the time because of racial problems in the U.S. According to sources like the National Library of Medicine, gentrification does not only affect houses, but can also affect a minority's health. Minorities, minorities, minority families being displaced has been very common within history. But I would like to highlight how different certain industries utilize gentrification to displace them, especially the car industry, with companies like Ford, GMC, and Honda. They often have a say so in what goes on the roads. So what happened was in 1956 the government funded the national highway the Federal Highway Act, and this act funded the highways we use today. They come with great economic benefits, but there was a lot of things missed. A lot of homes displaced, a lot of homes destroyed because of these highways, because corporations would purposely build the highways over minority communities to displace them. Along with this, you would see a lot of pollution, especially in the sound, the air, and it would also ruin greenery, natural greenery, and replace it with turf. Gentrification. So, along with this construction, everything gets displaced, but also gentrification creates room for newer cities to be in, because those cities could then profit off of people who are on road trips and stuff like that coming over there and paying for stuff, maybe even buying a house in that community. I think gentrification is wrong because of all the things listed previously. But one may argue that gentrification is not wrong because it benefits most of us economically. How does it benefit? A few ways it benefits us is the stores we go to, the retail stores such as Walmart, such as Best Buy, such as CVS. We utilize all those companies, and they're a process of gentrification. That's the only reason we have access to them. So it does make our everyday life easier, but gentrification is ruining cities. histories or the history that was once on the land previously before everyone got displaced. With with articles such as with art with articles such as the hands of the invisible hand of parks, environmental improvement, and neighborhood changes in greenery. This highlights the effect construction has and how it changes parks. The primary goal of gentrification is to make profit, so that's why no one really cares who gets displaced as long as they're making money. Gentrification is good because it creates newer businesses, opportunities, and jobs for many. But like I said, it's ruining the story cities once had. The effects of gentrification on the well-being and opportunity of original residents and adults by U.S. Census Bureau talks about how gentrification lowers crime rate. Therefore, it's a good thing. Gentrification often bullies the people who don't have a say so in the world. So if you love your home, make sure you take care and fight for what's right, because gentrification can displace you one day.